Yes, I'm not just a member of the ruling party. I'm one of the founders of the ruling party. I'm one of the 37 people that filled INEC forms to get the APC registered in 2013. And we spent 2 years trying to put the party together. So you're right. But this is not a policy of the ruling party because it is not in our manifesto. It is a last-minute thought by a few people that are not even members of the ruling party to create a particular political and electoral environment against the ruling party itself.
But the president signed it. He is the
yes,
outgoing
the
member
president
of the
is the leader of the ruling party, but this policy was packaged in a way that it will appeal to the sentiments of the president, to believe that it is the right thing to do for the country, for electoral integrity, and for his legacy. That is how it was clothed, and that is how it was announced. And when it was announced, we had no problems with it, okay? Because any policy that will reduce the amount of cash in circulation will have a tendency to reduce corruption levels, money laundering, and other evils. And we supported it.
Track banditry, fight terrorism, yeah.
All that, we supported it because we are all victims of the corruption, the banditry, and so on and so forth. But when the policy began to be implemented, we realized that what was proposed was not what was implemented. I will give three deviations. It was announced as currency redesign policy. Section 20, subsection 3 of the Central Bank Act gives the president the power to direct the central bank to redesign the currency and to withdraw old notes from circulation within a reasonable time, right, and allow people to swap their old notes and the new notes. But what was implemented, this was what was announced, and we supported that. If that was what was implemented, nobody would have a problem. But what was announced, what was implemented was, number one, the currency was not redesigned. 3 denominations were recolored. The color was changed, that's it. There was no redesign. Secondly, what was implemented was not cash swap. Cash swap means you have 100,000 naira, you take it to the bank, and the very same day, you get your 100,000 naira back. If you want to open an account with the bank, you can open an account, deposit 80,000 out of it, and take 20,000 in cash, because you don't need all the cash all the time. What was implemented was a cash confiscation scheme. So you deposit, the central bank allowed about 2 months for you to deposit your cash in the bank with the promise that as soon, by a certain date, all the new notes will be available so you can withdraw your cash. Guess what? There are no cash to withdraw. So now the country is facing the most serious economic and social crisis that we've witnessed in our 63 years since independence. And I'm 63. I've been around before independence. Okay, I've never seen any disaster of this scale and nature that affected everyone at every segment of the society, particularly the poor. Okay? People that have small businesses with capital of 10,000, 20,000 naira have been totally wiped out. They have deposited their 20,000, which is their entire capital in the bank, and they cannot withdraw it. Why? Because the central bank withdrew 2 trillion from circulation and printed only 400 billion. You cannot make 1 to become 5, which is what we are talking about. So this policy was designed with an objective, a clear objective on paper, but it is implemented with a different agenda. Okay? And the agenda is to incite the Nigerian electorate, create an environment of hardship, anger, and frustration, to incite the Nigerian electorate against the ruling party, to make this policy appear as if a policy of the ruling party, since it is the government that approved it, and the president is the leader of the ruling party. And the moment we realized these implementation difficulties and deviations, we drew the attention of the federal government. We met with the president. We said, look, this is what they said to you, Mr. President, but this is what is happening on the ground. You have access to the security agencies, you have access to the media. Check if we are telling anything but the truth. The president agreed, but the moment we leave, you know, people will go to him and say, you know, the reason why the governors are fighting this is because they have stashes of cash in their government houses and they want to use it for elections. Okay, this is totally untrue. If you look at the combined budget of the 36 states of the Federation, okay, add up all the budgets, all the money you are able to spend as 36 state governors, it's not up to a third of the budget of the federal government. So if there are any people with stashes of cash, they are officials of the federal government here in Abuja.
But Governor el-Rufai, some Nigerians I've spoken with said the APC is behaving like a party in opposition. The APC implements a policy because the leader of the country, the president, is a leader of the APC. Then the APC takes the government to court, and then the APC says, well, the policy is benefiting the opposition. So it's like the APC is fighting itself.
No,
that is the perception
that
I am getting.
Yes, that is the perception that is being created. But I want to refer you and everyone to the APC manifesto of 2015 and 2019. Go and check whether the APC at any point promised to redesign currency. We never did. So it's not an APC policy. Right. Check the leadership of the ruling party, the national chairman, the national working committee, whether they were involved in formulating this policy. They were not. This is why yesterday, the 21 governors of the APC and the National Working Committee met and issued a joint statement saying that this is not the policy of our party, we do not agree with this, and it should be reconsidered.
So what makes you confident that your candidate, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, will win the election based on how some of these challenges are affecting the ordinary Nigerian and prospective voters who will go to the polls on Saturday?
Look, you see, since the policy was implemented in this particular way to incite Nigerian electorate against us, the APC leaders at the state level, the governors, after making all underground efforts to get the policy to be implemented as designed, decided to go to court. We invoked the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to show that it is not our policy, we are against it, and we are against the suffering of our people. That is progressive politics. And even if it means standing up and opposing our national leader, we will do so, because nobody is perfect. Buhari may be 99% right, but he can be 1% wrong. And in this respect, we believe he has been misled, and by refusing to accede to the facts and the data that we've given to him to show that this is hurting ordinary people, we believe he's wrong, and we stood up to him. I'm one of President Buhari's closest governors. But I led what you can call the rebellion because I wanted to send a message to him that the day Nasir el-Rufai says, Mr. President, I openly disagree with you, I think the president should think more than twice and ask himself why. How come in all the years we've been together, Nasir has never openly disagreed with me? That's why I led the governors to go to court. Now, since then, a few facts have emerged. It is clear, number one, that people are suffering from this cash confiscation policy. Number two, it is being implemented in violation of the Central Bank Act and in violation of the Constitution. Number three, the Supreme Court of Nigeria has given an order, keep things as they were, okay? That is, use the old notes and the new notes side by side until we decide, okay? These are the three things that have emerged, and Nigerians were watching. What happened? The federal government refused to comply with the order of the Supreme Court. Number two, the PDP presidential candidate came out to say, don't extend, don't obey the order of the Supreme Court, okay? Number three, two PDP governors joined the federal government in opposing what we are praying the Supreme Court to do. So it is clear who is behind this policy. It's not APC. Actually, it's PDP using elements in the government. And remember, the governor of the central bank was a PDP appointee. Emefiele was appointed governor of the central bank by a PDP government. So maybe he has gone back to his old party after attempting to run for president in our party, and he couldn't go forward, okay? So Nigerians are now realizing that this is not Buhari's policy. This is not APC's policy. This is not something that the candidate of the APC supports. This is a scheme designed to actually make the candidate of the APC a victim of the electorate. And Nigerians are wiser. And I'm sure on Saturday they will speak.
Before we go, I understand, and I saw you on TV saying that people in your state should, the business people, should accept the old currency notes.
Yes.
Now, why did you make that determination? People are saying that that sharply contravenes the executive order of the president, thereby undermining his authority. A friend, as you are to the president, people are saying that is regrettable. Your reaction?
I have no regrets whatsoever because I am on the side of the law. And those that advise the president to do otherwise advised him in error. The president is in error, with the greatest respect. Okay, I have some limited knowledge of the law, and I was in the Supreme Court when that order was given. It is my duty, in accordance with the Constitution of Nigeria, to implement every decision of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. This is a constitutional duty. Within my state, I didn't say accept the old notes outside Kaduna State. Within Kaduna State, I have primacy over every person, and it is my duty to protect the interests of the people of Kaduna State, and I see their suffering. I see their businesses die. I see people that have been impoverished overnight. I see people that are tomato sellers that see their tomatoes expiring because they can't sell. And it is my duty to do whatever I can to assist them. And in that way, I'm assisting the president, okay, by complying with the order of the Supreme Court. I did nothing other than implement what the Constitution says, the executive powers vested in me in Kaduna State, and in compliance with the Central Bank Act and the ruling of the Supreme Court. The president was misdirected by his Attorney General in making the statements that he made. He is wrong. I'm right. On this matter, yes, I have no regrets. And one day the president himself will realize that those of us that stood up for this actually did him a favor.